Nancy is a conductor's daughter. One day she was working on Skarloey with some polish and a rag. Skarloey was snoozing happily, but Nancy wanted to talk. "Wake up, lazy bones. Your brass is filthy. Aren't you ashamed?" "No," yawned Skarloey. "You're just an old fusspot." And Skarloey closed his eyes. He was thinking about his friend Rheneas and all the good times they had shared before Rheneas went away to be mended. Nancy interrupted again. "Don't you want to look nice when Rheneas comes home?" Skarloey wasn't sleepy anymore. "What? When?" "Soon. Daddy told me. I'm going now," she said. "Nancy, stop! Do I really look nice? Please polish me again." "Now who's an old fusspot?" laughed Nancy and set to work once more. Duncan was jealous. "Aren't you going to polish me too?" "Sorry, not today. I'm going now. I'm helping the refreshment lady this afternoon. We must get the ice cream ready for the passengers." "Never mind, Duncan." But Duncan did mind. "It isn't fair," he complained. "Peter Sam gets a special funnel, Sir Handel gets special wheels, passengers get ice cream, but I'm not even polished." Of course, this wasn't true, but Duncan enjoyed complaining. He became sulkier still. That afternoon, there was bad news from up the line. "One of Skarloey's coaches has come off the rails," called Duncan's driver. "We'll have to take workmen there right away." "All this extra work," grumbled Duncan. "It wears an engine out." "Rubbish. Come on." The derailed coach was in the middle of Skarloey's train, so he had gone on to the top station with his front coaches. Duncan shunted the works train into the sidings and left the workmen to sort out the mess. Then he brought the passengers in the rear coaches home. He sulked all the way. "I get no rest, I get no rest," he muttered. Duncan made the journey very difficult. He was short of steam, so his driver waited a while in the hope of raising more. But Duncan wouldn't try. "We'll keep our passengers waiting," said his driver. Duncan was cross. "You always think about the passengers and never about me." It wasn't long before Duncan built up enough steam to set off again. But he was still very grumpy and cross. "I'm overworked and I won't stand it." At last they reached the viaduct near the station. "Come on, Duncan," called his driver. "One more effort and you'll have a rest and a drink at the station." Then Duncan was very rude. "Keep your old station. I'm staying here." And he did, too. Skarloey had to haul Duncan and his train all the way to the platform. The passengers were furious. They told everyone what a bad railway it was. That night, Sir Topham Hatt spoke to Duncan. "No passengers means no polish, and no polish means no passengers," Duncan muttered to himself. He still has a lot to learn, doesn't he?
Every engine on the island of Sodor is different. Can you tell who this is? Here are some dots to help us. If we join the dots, we will see which of the narrow-gauge engines we see here. Here we go. There's a cab at the back, and there's the rest of the narrow-gauge engine's body. It's a square, and it's got 4 wheels. Do you know who it is yet? Here's a few clues. This narrow-gauge engine is number 5. It's painted orange, and its name begins with the letter R. Do you know who it is? That's right. It's Rusty. Hello, Rusty.
Duncan would not stop grumbling. He grumbled that he wasn't polished enough. He grumbled that he was overworked. Most of all, he grumbled about the passengers. "I'm ashamed of you, Duncan," said Skarloey. "Thank goodness Rheneas is coming home soon. Perhaps he'll teach you some sense before it's too late." "What has Rheneas to do with me?" "Rheneas saved our railway," replied Skarloey. "Please tell us about it," said Peter Sam. "Well," began Skarloey, "it was before you came here. Things were bad. Rheneas and I had to keep the trains running, or our railway would have to close." "How awful," murmured Peter Sam. "I tried hard," continued Skarloey, "but my old wheels ached." Rheneas understood. "It's my turn now," he'd tell me. He was often short of steam, but he always struggled to a station and then rested there. "I mustn't stop between stations," he'd say. "The passengers wouldn't like it." "Humph," huffed Duncan. He had stopped on a viaduct and hadn't cared at all. "Passengers," continued Skarloey, "get cross if you stop at the wrong places. Rheneas stopped in the wrong place once, and this is what happened." One wet and windy afternoon when the rails were damp, Rheneas was traveling home with a full train. There were even passengers in the caboose. It wasn't a comfortable ride at all. Rheneas's wheels kept slipping, and it was a steep climb. At last, his wheels gripped the rails again. The worst is over, he thought. Now we're away. But they weren't. "I got a cramp," he groaned. And Rheneas stopped on the loneliest part of the line. His driver examined him carefully. "Your valve gear has jammed. We need to reach the next station. Do you think you can still get us there?" "I'll try," replied Rheneas. Rheneas did his best. "If I fail," he thought to himself, "the passengers will be cross and the railway will close." Everything blurred. He was really too tired to make another turn of his wheels, but he did. And another, and another, and another. Finally, tired but triumphant, Rheneas reached the station. "I'm here at last," he wheezed. "Thank you for getting us home," said the passengers. "We'll tell all our friends what a fine railway this is." His driver was delighted. "You're a gallant little engine," he said to Rheneas. "When you're rested, we'll mend you, so you'll be ready for tomorrow." And, smiled Skarloey, Rheneas always was ready for tomorrow. Thanks for telling us about him, whispered Duncan. I was wrong. Passengers are important after all. The next day, Rheneas came home. All the engines were there to greet him. Edward pushed his truck to the siding, where he was lifted onto his rails. This was the signal for a chorus of whistles from engines large and small. Everyone was happy, and Rheneas was the happiest of all. You know, he whispered to Skarloey, this helps a little engine to feel that at last he has really come home.
Can you guess who this is? Keep guessing. It's Freddy.